time to make sure all the things are working the way they're supposed to, that we are actually live and we're not just broadcasting to myself, which would be weird, and that all the places that need to see us are able to see us for today's conversation. Because today's conversation is exciting, is the kind of conversation that makes people money, is the kind of conversation that keeps people committed to the long-term game that we're playing, and reminds them that when you work diligently on your craft a little bit every day, you can separate yourself from everybody else. I don't know what the exact number is, but I know it's like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes a day on your business or on your craft sets you apart from everybody else in that field. And that's what we do every single day. Now, of course, on Fridays, we're live on social media, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, I think even Twitter at times. We're all over the place, so the whole world can see what we do. But every other day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can catch us on Free Conference Call HD, where we're talking foundational topics, the kind of stuff that makes us better and keeps us better. We're talking about industry news so that you know it before anybody else. And we're talking to you, our core agent partners, about what you're doing in the field, what's working, and what's making you money. One of the things that we talked about this week that I don't know if all of social media has caught on to yet, but Sentinel Security Life is like collapsing on itself. Check the news, Google it, look it up. That's the kind of stuff that we talk about on our daily call on a daily basis so that our agents know the news before the news shows up in their inbox. So if you need that call information, if that's a conference call you'd like to listen into and you're a licensed agent or looking to get into the business, you're more than welcome to listen in. Reach out and I'll send you that information. If you are part of our core agent audience, our core agent partners, and you were dialed in on Free Conference Call HD, we absolutely appreciate you. And remember, the first 30 minutes of today's conversation is always available, assuming we are live, which we normally are, in Free Conference Call HD. And the remaining portion of the conversation is broadcast live in StreamYard or across social media. Why would you want to join us in StreamYard? Well, here's the thing. If you join us in StreamYard, you can listen into you can be a part of the conversation. You can comment, you can engage, you can join us live. You don't have to, but you can be involved in that conversation. So if you don't have that link or you'd like to be a part of it, let me know and we can make sure you can be engaged in Dynamic Friday in StreamYard as well. And most importantly, if you're watching us either now or sometime in the future, drop a comment. We've made an effort to broadcast our conversations and our training live because we know the best way that this agency grows is through social media. It's through Facebook. It's through LinkedIn. It's through comments and engagement in this content. So if you're watching live on YouTube, you're on our Facebook channel, Adam's or mine or wherever, say hi. Let us know where you're from. Say hi and what engages you or you like about our conversation or what caught your attention. Let us know that you're watching. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about, because the more that you engage in the content, the more that content is shared with other people across the industry. So today, you're not on this conversation and this training just to hear about social media fluff. I know that, but that's how I have to open on Fridays. Today, we're going to talk about securing your future, like you as the licensed agent on the conference call or on social media involved in today's training. How can you secure your future? And in my portion of today's conversation, I'm going to share some thoughts on residual income, renewals, and why writing quality business that stays on the books can help you grow your business. I know a little bit about what Adam's going to share on his side of the conversation, but I know in my side of the conversation, I'm going to get very granular. I'm going to get very specific. I'm going to get into the weeds about what keeping business on the books really looks like for you financially. So you have the opportunity to write it down and watch it and plug your numbers in if you want. But I really want you to dial into these numbers and realize how real you can make this conversation go into your bank account. That's part of the problem in this industry too, right? Like there are so many conversations out there, some of them real, some of them fake, some of them somewhere in the middle, but they're all conversations. When it actually becomes real numbers, you can remove the emotion from the conversation, put that formula to work, and deposit that money into your business bank account. And our theme for the year, what has it been? The underpinning plot line of this entire year's conversation has been legacy and vision. What better way to start the beginning of the end of December than to talk about the beginning of the end of the year in December by talking about securing your future? Securing your future makes a significant difference so that you're not constantly chasing first year commissions the rest of your life. Here's the thing. There's a lot of sexy fads in this business. There's a lot of things that are exciting. Selling IULs in your underwear from your bed. Guess what? No residual income. Doing all these things that are easy today and don't pay you tomorrow. Guess what? No residual income. Because our theme this year has been residual income through future establishing your legacy and your vision, let's get into those numbers today. So first, let's talk actual income. For every final expense application that you sell, let's assume the average monthly premium is $75 a month, right? We run the numbers. We know the numbers. That number's pretty solid. If you're watching this or listening to this conversation and your average premium is below $75 a month, tune in a little bit closer to these trainings and this conversation. But let's just assume, for the purposes of today's conversation, that your average monthly premium is $75 a month. And your average renewals are about 5%. There's a lot of products out there in the industry right now with absolute garbage renewals. That's why we don't talk about them very often. But let's just assume your average renewal is 5%. And let's assume that your client keeps the policy all of year one and into year two. That client, Miss Betty, Miss Johnson, or whoever you want to call her, Mildred, as Dave Duford would say, pays you approximately $3.75 a month. Every month she keeps that policy on a 5% renewal. Well, it's pretty solid, right? I'm not going to pay my mortgage off $375 a month, but that's a good number to understand. Now, let's presume, or hope that you're writing 20 policies a month, 5 policies a week. On a $75 a month average, factoring in that in month 10, 11, and 12, that income is going to stack on top of itself. You're going to begin to receive approximately $1,000 to $1,500 a month in back end month 10, 11, and 12 renewals by writing 20 policies a month. So why would you fight for that number? Why is that number so important to you? Why is writing 20 policies a month so important? Because it'll pay you freaking $1,500 a month once you push that into year two, and all those numbers begin to stack on top of each other. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk ancillary products now. Let's say that you write 4, that's it, 1 a week, 4 ancillary policies a week. And let's assume the average premium of an ancillary policy is $35 a month, like the lowest of the lowest. Like they always say yes when this is the number that's shown to them. $35 a month. And a 10% renewal, because ancillary products typically have higher renewals. So every ancillary product you sell is worth $3.50 a month. Again, you're not going to pay your mortgage or your light bill, put gas in your car with $3.50 a month. We get it. But these numbers stack, and you'll see that in just a minute. So $3.50 a month for every ancillary policy, $3.75 a month for every life policy. Every Medicare Advantage enrollment, you guys know this number, right? I mean, call it out if you're watching. $26 a month, approximately, depending on where you are. Ricky Raymond in New Jersey gets paid a whole lot more because I don't know why that's New Jersey. It's like 30 there. $26 a month on Medicare. And if 3/4 of those 20 applications a month, that means about 15 of the people you sell life insurance to, you can help with their Medicare. And then you have a solid annual enrollment like everybody here in this group has had. You place 200 Medicare apps on the books over a 12-month period. There is another, here's the number, $5,200 in residual income. So let's add these numbers together. You guys having fun yet? Let's add these numbers together. $5,200 a month, residual income from Medicare. Got it? $14 a month, ancillary products. Not that much, but it stacks up. $1,500 a month, final expense. And then $900. I forget where that number came from. Forgive me on that one. Your total residual income over the course of a year from doing a 20 application a month pace is $91,000. $91,000 from 20 final expense applications, 4 ancillary products, and 200 Medicare enrollments over the year. Push that ball into year two. Pretty awesome, right? If that doesn't mean anything to you, then this business isn't the right fit for you. And that's just residual income. Stack on top of that what first year commissions generate from 20 applications a month, and you can see the power of this industry. Now, let's talk about by keeping business on the books. Like you wrote the application and she actually kept it. You wrote good quality business and they kept that good quality business. The kind of clients that call you from 2018 and want to buy more insurance because you sold them a good policy in 2018. We've all lived it and experienced it, right? The kind of people you can go back and see because you're having a bad day and you need someone that likes you and trusts you. And those are the kind of people that residual income allows you to talk to. Now that we talked about the numbers, here's the thing. There are 7 more, count them, 7 more sales opportunities that you're going to have by keeping good quality business from your primary product. 7 more sales opportunities. Here they are. Number 1, your secondary sale. If you led with life, we're talking Medicare. If you led with Medicare, we're talking life. Whatever that second pivot is off your primary product is that first additional sales opportunity that you're acquired from writing that primary product. Third is ancillary products. We talked about those already. You guys know the numbers: cancer, heart attack, stroke, critical illness. The third product option you're going to have by selling a solid initial policy. Fourth sales opportunity you have from writing one quality piece of business that sticks on the books and building that relationship. Grandkid policies. Again, incredibly easy, $5 to $35 a month kind of business that you can write because you wrote good business from the very beginning. 6, or I don't know what number it is at this point, annuities and next generation business. That means you find out after writing Miss Johnson in year 1 that when you went back in year 2, she has annuity money, and you have the confidence to talk to her about the annuity money, and she has the confidence in you to take the annuity because she trusts you. In that same generation of referral opportunities that are now created because of that initial sale opportunity, you now have the referrals that come because you helped one person and she knows other people that you can help. Erin is a huge advocate of referrals. One of these days, we're going to get her on this conversation to share her thoughts on referrals. But you don't get referrals if you don't get good quality business that sticks and stays in that primary sale. And here's the last one. Add-on sales to that initial final expense piece of business and life event business. What's life event business? Well, your final expense client got married. It happens, and now they want policies for the new marriage. Your final expense client moves. Your final expense client experiences a new death in their friends or family, and now they want more insurance. Something in their life happened, and they walked back over to the fridge, and they saw your phone number, and they called you. That's the kind of business that you get when you start off writing good quality business. If that isn't motivation yet, and $91,000 a year didn't wake you up, I don't know what to say at this point. Got to write good quality business because all this stuff comes as a result of doing that. Now, lastly, what does all this residual and renewal income do to you for your business and for your life? Well, guess what? It begins early on in the process to help you cover your lead costs if you're purchasing your leads. Hey, within about a year's time, your residual and renewal income really means you're on a free lead program. Next, good residual and renewal income diminishes chargebacks. When you're focusing on a few primary companies, when you only have a few companies on advances and everything else, man, you can have them, but we get the point on that conversation. When you're focusing on a few primary companies, your residual income helps diminish your chargeback risk that we're all going to get. Business is going to fall off no matter what you do. Third, a certain percentage that is. What else can renewals and residual incomes do is it can help you increase your lead flow. I remember at the first IMO I ever worked at, I wanted to increase my leads. I'm like, maybe if I had more people to see, I'd sell more insurance. This seems to make sense, right? And I reached out and I asked people, should I increase my lead order? No, why would you do such a thing? Well, maybe I should go work somewhere else that they're telling me not to grow my business. That was the opening salvo right there of that change. But I realized now that I was making residual and renewal income all on my own pen, I could buy 20, now 25 leads a week. And it really didn't cost me any more money because I was making that money back every month. What else can it do? It can stabilize your personal or your business budget. Got to have those budgets. We talked about that a few weeks ago. It can help you expand your business. If you're getting $1,500 a month in residual income from your life business, you can take that $1,500 a month and grow your business by hiring staff, an appointment setter, a VA, a personal assistant, someone to help you grow. And lastly, what does residual and renewal income do to your business? Well, I can talk about two situations over the course of the last 10 years that if it wasn't for residual income, if it wasn't for renewal income, if it wasn't for a book of business I could fall back on and farm through, I would be in a far different situation, and maybe none of this would even exist. We all remember COVID, right? Well, many people in COVID fell in residual incomes and savings, and they were going to figure it out, but they wouldn't fail out however long it took. There were people that just got started, and God bless them, some of them made it, but most of them didn't. And there were people that did not have residuals, renewals, or a solid book of business, and it was very scary for them. Maybe COVID never happens again. Maybe something different happens. Likely, some other major event takes place. Residual and renewal income can give you that peace of mind in that moment where the world is shutting down, that you look at your bank account, you look at your income, and you divide it by 6, and you say, all right, I got enough money that we're not going to lose the house or starve for this amount of time while the world's on its ass. That's what it did for me. That's what it did for Adam. That's what it did for so many others that remained consistent to the 20 application a month pattern. I'll tell you one other life emergency that took place that if it wasn't for residual and renewal income, I don't know if we would be here. June of 2022, I worked in the field selling policies maybe 2 days. Some of it was planned. Many of it wasn't. I had a lifetime friend killed tragically on a trip, and I missed a good week's worth of work taking care of attending those services. I had tragedy take place at home, needed to attend to those issues. I had a vacation that was planned for a year that I was still able to go on, and a trip for insurance toolkits that I had to attend in Vegas. Over the course of the month, I maybe worked in the field selling new business like 2 days. If it wasn't for residuals and renewal income and a book of quality business, this story may have ended very differently. So hopefully that connects with somebody in the first portion of today's conversation as we shift over into the second portion with Adam, that residual and renewal income can make a significant difference in growing your business, in finding additional business, and that tangible number, Adam, $91,368 a year from 20 life applications, 4 ancillary products, and a partridge in a pear tree. What do you think?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you can't beat that. Nothing like building up the good renewals. I mean, honestly, I think that really should be the goal for people in this business. It's one thing to make that upfront money, and we're going to talk a lot about this in the portion. I actually put together like some slides, but yeah, that should be the goal. People want to build that residual income. As you get older, it gets to the point where maybe you don't want to work as much. Maybe you want to get to the point where you can retire. Well, I mean, how are you going to be able to retire if you don't have any income still coming in? I mean, unless you just made so much money and you were really, really good at investing and saving, it's good to still have that extra income. I mean, we deal with people in final expense every day that are living on a fixed income. They're living on their Social Security, and that's all they have. And I mean, the way that they live, I mean, they wish that they had more. Every day I talk to people and they tell me, that's exactly what they tell me. This Social Security is barely enough to get by. So you can't depend on that. And who knows what the future will bring with any of that. But if you're dependent upon yourself and you do the right thing and you put money aside, and not only that, you do what you can to build those renewals. I think it's very, very crucial. So I was gonna
real quick. I want to get your thoughts on some of these specifics, and then we can jump right into your slides. We got about 8 minutes, then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of your Dynamic Friday content. I think the average premium of around $75 a month has proven to be something that maybe originally about 2 years ago you didn't believe me when I said it, but with the rising cost of funerals, with the cost of inflation, with the confidence in writing quality business, is that a number that you feel confident in agreeing most people can probably afford when you're writing quality business?
You said how much? 75 a month?
Yeah, between 50 and 75. I don't think you used to believe until you saw people buying 20 and
Yeah. Well, I think people just understand that everything costs more these days. I was actually talking to my wife about that last night. I mean, I've written so many $10,000 policies in the past where the average premium was maybe only $40 or $50 a month. But the problem is people are experiencing funerals. They're seeing people around them that passed away and they realize that 10,000 is just not enough anymore to cover a burial. And even if their budget was around $50 a month, they're willing to stretch that a little bit further if they know that $50 a month is only going to get them 10,000 in coverage, because they want to make sure that there's going to be enough there to cover all those expenses. So, so yeah, it's just, yeah. I'm sorry, Chris. You can move.
that's good.
Move
And then
on.
look at it another way too. I remember years ago, I used to have two policies on the books with Kemper Life. It was an old guaranteed issue carrier we used to use back in the day. I'm sure Ricky wrote a few Kempers himself. And those two policies a month stayed on the books for quite a few years. One of them eventually fell off. I think the other one died off. But I used to get about $5 a month every month religiously from Kemper Life. That product had renewals where products from other carriers, three-letter carriers in the guaranteed issue space that recently changed their name, don't have any renewals. Now, $4 a month, $5 a month wasn't going to pay my bills, but it was a tangible presence in my deposits. And those numbers begin to stack up. Adam, you're not going to get rich or retire to Puerto Rico off $3.75 a month, but understanding that tangible number in every single application, hopefully that encourages people to keep the business that they write so those numbers can begin to mount on top of each other, right?
Well, yeah, like I said, sorry, Chris. Hold on. You're going to need to take over for a second. My wife just got pulled over and I got to send her the insurance information.
Okay, all good. No trouble. And realistically, it's also important to remember when we're talking about that initial sale, each time you write that primary piece of business, I was talking to two of colleagues of ours, Tori and Josh, yesterday, that second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth products you sell down that family tree and into that family build persistency in that block of business. Sure, you sell one final expense application with American Amicable for $75 a month, but then you write the Medicare business that adds persistency because you're putting money back into their life. Then you add the ancillary products so that when they get cancer, they don't go broke. Then you write the grandkids so they've got that peace of mind that you're their insurance agent for life because you've protected multiple people in their life. You see how all these policies don't just additionally make you more money? All these additional policies build persistency. You write one policy, even if it's the cheapest policy in the books. You go in there and you write Life Shield or Royal Arcanum's whole life product, and you beat the rate by $10 a month. Guess what? There's someone who's better looking, faster talking, and better than you that could get in that home and no matter the price, replace the policy. Either ethically or unethically, it can happen. I had a client, and you guys know the story, who recently took out a Polish Falcons policy when the rates were lower than they should have been. And guess what? Another Yahoo got in the home and replaced the policy. And tragically, that lady died the next month, and it didn't pay because she didn't even make the payment. Doesn't matter if you write the cheapest thing on the books. If you only wrote one policy in the home, it's pretty easy to undo. You write one Medicare plan and you don't pair it with anything else, you're nobody to them. You guys know this. On a life insurance policy, your name is on the policy. Your address, your actual legal address in many cases, is on the policy. You are real to them because you're in their policy. Guess what? On the back of their Cigna card, your name ain't there. You may not be as real to them in that situation unless you place other products in that situation. Next, I may not be the best at this, but I am not going to speak with any level of authority on annuities, but I am going to remind you that you need to be talking to your clients about these add-on opportunities. Over the course of the last several weeks, Adam has capitalized on add-on opportunities, recognizing all the additional sales he can make from people who originally trusted him. If you've been in this business longer than 1 or 2 years, there's almost no excuse to have a 0 day because you should be going into the field knowing who else you've sold in that area, knowing you can fall back on them if needed. Adam, I haven't had a 0 day in this business since probably 2018, simply because of writing quality business and having people to go back to if I know I needed them. Hopefully your wife has gotten the insurance information now, and Katie won't be mad that you said that live on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm
But
hoping
what
she just
thoughts
gets
do
a
you have
warning.
as we transition over to the slides and your conversation today?
Well, yeah, sorry, I just was kind of off there for a minute, but yeah, like I said, just like you mentioned, Chris, with even going back on existing policyholders. I mean, those are just great ways to add additional business, keeping the clients in front of you, and that's something really I was going to talk about. My production this week, I mean, I had a decent week of production, but it was just really just a few apps. But so it'll only take a few minutes to kind of go through that. But I was going to go through that because it kind of does relate to what we're talking about. Because a good portion of
Perfect.
what I wrote was existing policyholders, and I think that this time of year, especially when when people have that mindset that people don't want to talk to you, that it's the end of the year, that Christmas is around the corner, and just all these different excuses. Well, hey, your policyholders, they've already sat down with you before. They're great people to sit down with, to really look at it almost as like an added bonus. Focus on your leads, but always go back to your existing clients, because there's a lot of business to be written there. And I've written a heck of a lot of business just over the last few weeks off of existing policyholders. And really just, a little bit of a combination. But this week, because of the fact that Thanksgiving took off work on Thanksgiving. I didn't really work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I decided to go out Monday. So I went out Monday. I didn't have any appointments set. I just pretty much door knocked leads. I didn't have a whole lot of success, but I actually did set up quite a bit of a day for Tuesday. There were some people that I couldn't meet with on Monday that I was at least able to set up for Tuesday. And the appointment setters had set up appointments for me for Tuesday. So my Tuesday was looking to be a pretty solid day. And I set a goal of writing 10,000 in premium this week. So, and that had a lot to do with the fact that I had a pretty good day already set up for Tuesday. I had a feeling that I was just going to crush it and just put up a lot of premium. Sometimes things just don't go as planned, unfortunately. First appointment was an existing policyholder of an ex-agent that was terminated with the carrier just for lack of production. I don't even know if he's in the business anymore. Went and saw the person. Well, actually went to see the person, got there. Nobody was home. I called and the lady was like, "Oh, I just thought that you were going to call to talk about this." And I didn't really know the person because I had never met with him in the past. Tried to maybe set up another appointment. I might get somewhere with it, but it was just kind of a waste of time. And it was a good hour out of my way. So then from there had another 3 appointments. 3 appointments in a row that weren't home. Or actually, no, two that weren't home, and then one that called me to reschedule. So again, where I thought that my Tuesday was going to be pretty solid, just kind of turned out to be a flop. And then I had an existing policyholder appointment at 4:00 in the afternoon. And this was one that I had already met with like maybe a few days before Thanksgiving. And she just is one, I mean, she's got other policies with me. And she's just one that she'll just never do anything the first visit. Like I could say anything and it doesn't matter. I tried everything. It didn't matter. But she said, "Call me next week. And then, maybe, I'll figure out what I want to do." So I called her Monday and she said, "Yeah, come by tomorrow at 4:00 and we'll get it taken care of." And I was adding on coverage for her and her husband. So I got there at 4:00. She wasn't home. Tried calling her, wasn't answering her phone, texted her, didn't get anywhere with anything. So like I said, like my whole Tuesday, it seemed like it was going to be really good. It was turning out to be not the greatest. So then I'm always trying to figure out where can I go to make a sale, because I don't want to go home without anything. And I remembered there was an app that I wrote the day before Thanksgiving with American Amicable, and I had yet to receive a a final decision on it. It was one that they pushed to like return of premium due to an anti-addiction medication. It's and in the state of Illinois, maybe other states are this way as well. Uh, I guess now it's like a requirement for doctors if they're prescribing an opioid that they also have to prescribe like this anti addiction med. The lady, she had no addiction issues. I put notes to American Amicable about that because everything else seemed to be pretty decent with her health. And anyways, I hadn't gotten a response yet. I figured, heck, it's Tuesday at this point. I guess it's just going to stay return a premium. So it was about maybe a 40-minute drive, and I was leaving the appointment that wasn't home, the existing policy holder. And I was I probably drove about halfway to that stop when my phone rang, and it was actually the existing policy holder calling me. And she said, Adam, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. I'm home now. Can you come back? And I'm like, sure. So I ended up turning around and, got off the highway, kind of did like a U-turn, got back on the other side of the highway and just headed back over there. Yeah. And, and it was, it was like $116 a month between her and her husband. So ended up being a pretty good sale. And then it was so funny. I got back to my car and I checked my emails, and I had actually gotten an email from American Amicable that the person I was going to see to rewrite something else actually was approved. First day coverage. So I'm glad that I didn't end up going on the journey to go rewrite the other policy because it ended up getting approved anyways. So
Adam, real quick, we're going to cover the rest of today's conversation exclusively on Facebook, YouTube, and StreamYard. If you're curious about the rest of Adam's sales and how he wrote business on people who already know and trust him to push through the holiday season, join us exclusively, all for free conference calls, HG, and live on social media. We'll also hear a breakdown of building your legacy through writing quality business over the course of the next 25 minutes. If you're watching into this point of the conversation, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe on whatever method you are watching us. We're both on Spotify, StreamYard, social media, everywhere, maybe even in your mailbox one day, someday soon. Wherever you're watching us, make sure you interact with that content so we can continue to grow the audience of people that we help on a regular basis. Adam, we are exclusively on StreamYard at this point and social media. The conference call is over. Continue the show.
All right. So, so anyways, my Tuesday, like I said, it kind of seemed like it was going to be a really productive day. Still ended up writing like $1,400 of premium. So I was happy with that. Had another appointment after that I ended up getting too late that I didn't really do anything yet with. I think I probably will end up writing a short-term disability policy on the person. Again, existing policy holder of mine. She still works. She has a special needs son also that she takes care of. And she just knows that if she were to become disabled, she is going to need some more income coming in. So, I mean, I think that'll probably be a slam dunk too. I think she's just trying to work some things out to figure out how to fit it into her budget. But then Wednesday, I mean, I had a pretty open day. I had one appointment set later on in the day, 5:00 at night. Outside of that, I door knocked a bunch of leads. Didn't really get a whole lot of anywhere with anybody. Talked to one person that sounded promising, but still didn't get anywhere with her. And then I had the 5:00 appointment was it was a direct mail lead that was 3 years old. Yeah.
Hold up. The direct mail lead was how old again?
Was 3 years old.
That's incredible. Sorry, keep going.
So, and someone, people might have seen Chris post some stuff from an agent earlier in the week that Chris had posted stuff on there about all this roll up debt, and she owed like thousands of dollars of money back to these different carriers, and she posted how Chris didn't really do anything for her, and Chris hooked me up with a bunch of leads this week. And, with those leads, I was able to have an appointment set and I made a sale on it. So, people like to come up with excuses of reasons why they're not succeeding, and they don't like to blame themselves. They always like to look at other reasons why they are failing. Chris is not the reason why this person failed. He's done more than enough to help me, and I know many other agents as well. So, really appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So yeah, 5 o'clock. This person, she had like 3 policies. Actually, she took out a policy right around the time that this lead was originally generated. So I almost think that the leads were probably, they're aged leads. They were probably recycled and resold, and evidently the person made a sale on the lead. I'm assuming it kind of seemed that way, but I was still able to get in. And the way I sold it, I like to sell on the value, and she had plenty of coverage, but she didn't have what I have to offer. And what that is the American Amicable Platinum product with the Everest that, most of you that have been on these calls a lot have heard me talk about it a lot. It has the funeral concierge service that helps with the planning and negotiating prices. I pretty much tell the client that all your family has to do when you die is make one phone call, and the next thing they have to do is show up at the funeral. And they really like that. It takes a lot off of the family. So that's really how I was able to make that sale. I told her, you know what, this is the policy that will take care of all of your immediate expenses. The funeral home wants that money up front. This is going to be there. It's also going to help with the planning and put all of that in order. So I told her most of my clients, they have a policy like this just for that sole purpose of taking care of the funeral, all the immediate expenses. And I told her they never cancel this policy because there's nothing else like this out there. And they know that this is the most important policy that they have. Maybe that's why I have such good persistency.
If you're not picking up the value and the verbiage of what he's using there, you're missing the boat. I want to make sure you use the line. You're probably going to it next. Something about how your dad has it and he would never lose it. Or you said it to me earlier and it was just like, that's gold.
Yeah, exactly. I talk about, I tell him, look at, this is something that will make things a lot easier on myself when something happens to my parents. So, it's something that I think is very important. And I mean, I don't want to have to go into a funeral home and pick out caskets and all that stuff. I'd rather have my parents take care of all that stuff ahead of time. So it hits home, I think, a little bit too. And I even usually ask the client, who's going to be the one who's going to be handling your funeral? They usually say, oh, my son or my daughter. Well, has he ever had to plan a funeral? And see how they respond. And then the next thing I always ask is, what do you think that day is going to look like for him? And they really start to think a lot about it. And then that's when I talk about the Everest and how they assist and they help, and they're going to make the toughest day in her son's life a heck of a lot easier. So it really sells itself. So yeah, that was how I made the sale Wednesday night. That, like I said, she had plenty of coverage. She had, it was a $30,000 policy that she took out a few years ago, whole life. It was a good policy. I told her, I mean, you've had it for over 2 years. Don't mess with it. It's a good policy. And she also had some coverage through her job that it was like a group term policy. So I told her that at some point will expire, but at least we can put her in a permanent plan. And in time, once her coverage through work totally expires, she can always increase what she's doing with me. And then I gave her a magnet and she put it on her fridge. So I know she'll be calling me in the future. And then yesterday, I had a few existing policyholder appointments. And the first one was at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was a no-show. I tried calling the person, didn't answer, tried texting, didn't answer. We'll see. Maybe we can get it rescheduled. The next one is a husband and wife that has had coverage with me since I think probably 2017. And right now they're 83 and 82 years old. And they still handle all their own business. Imagine that.
It's shocking. Hold on a second. What? You mean they don't have their kids making all their decisions for them?
Their kids have never had to be asked if they should move forward with a policy with me. Yeah, at 83 and 82 years old. I mean, this this lady, very organized. I mean, she has like a notepad, got all her bills in there, just kind of working out her budget and all this stuff. And they already had a $15,000 policy with me. And then they each had a $5,000 policy with me. So they had 20,000 total already. And because they're so old, I mean, even the original policy I wrote was like 7 years ago. And then the one after that, I couldn't believe it. Like I looked at the application date and it was like 4 years ago. Like I couldn't believe I hadn't seen these people for 4 years. Like it felt like it was like maybe a year, maybe a year and a half ago that I'd been there, but it was 4 years.
Not to sidetrack you there. I know I could do that pretty badly to you. The fact is that when you see the kind of business that you write, doesn't it remind you of how remaining persistent in this business has proven to be true? Doesn't it remind you that if you don't give up, you'll continue to get rewards in return? Doesn't it show you that people have trusted you, have bought from you? And when I see that kind of business, I had one from 2018 on Tuesday, Adam, it made me feel like reassured to keep going on no matter the good days or the bad days, because these people have bought, trusted, and now are calling back looking for more help. It's an awesome feeling.
Yeah. I mean, why not go back? I mean, it's so easy. You talk about, and I'll go through this too on the training. I'll pull up that slideshow here in a minute. But talk about inflation, talk about the fact that I bring it up all the time. I've been doing this 21 years. When I first got in the business, you could be buried for $6,000 and now it's 2 to 3 times that much. So you live another 10 years, 20 years, how much more is it going to go up? So it's great to focus on right now, but you got to look down the road a little bit too. And I might not talk about that a whole lot on the initial sale because I just want to focus on the immediate need, but it's a great way when you go back to write additional coverage to make sure that you can, add on a little bit more. So anyways, yeah, this husband and wife, they had, like I said, the 20,000 a piece, and adding up all the premiums, they were already paying $400 a month for their coverage with me. 20,000 a piece. I mean, we're talking about first policy they probably took out when they were like 76, 77 years old, 15,000 a piece. I mean, yeah, that's a big premium. Then they added on another 5. And then so then we just kind of got to talking a little bit yesterday, and I almost didn't know if I'd be able to do anything for them on my way there because I knew that they had 2 policies a piece already, and they were already paying a pretty decent amount of premium each month. And so, yeah, I didn't know. But anyways, we just kind of got to talking, and the old man was like, I got a little bit of extra money each month. I've been thinking about still maybe adding a little bit more. I can't take this money with me. So I might as well do something with it. And ended up writing them another 5,000 a piece that ended up, I think it was like around $165 a month total. And that's just because, they, again, up there in age, the husband, he was close to $100 a month for a $5,000 policy. I think it was like $95 a month. And the wife was like in the 60s. So yeah, it was like 163, I think, total. So that was pretty good, pretty happy to write that. That put me at like around 4,000 in premium for the week. And then I had Chris send me some leads. I paid for some leads, and I had him send me some earlier in the day. I had a little bit of time to kill before my 5 o'clock appointment, and I put a route together to door knock some leads. I happened to have a lead that was only about maybe 10 or 15 minutes away from that appointment that I had just written the husband and wife. And I door knocked it cold, and lady comes to the door, got in the house. Well, that wasn't an issue. We sat down, we talked about the final expense, and it was more of an affordability thing. I think she wants to move forward with something in the future, but I just couldn't talk her into it. But then I asked her about her Medicare.
Well, time out.
Yeah.
You couldn't talk her into it, so you didn't talk her into it so that you didn't build up a bunch of bad debt and chargebacks, forcing people into things. Correct?
True. Yeah.
Did you put down a fake bank account just to get it issued so that you could pay your rent?
Oh, man.
Mortgage?
Chris, and that's something I had an agent, a prospective agent call me last night. And that was something he said, yeah, I talked to this one organization who they told me that within a month or two, I'd probably be making about $40,000 a month. And I'm like, don't even listen to that sort of thing. Like, I wish that was true,
Yeah.
but and I told him there's so much unethical practices out there, just things that are even taught of. I mean, just situations I run into where people don't even realize they took out a policy, but the agent might have tried selling it over the phone and they just finangled them into a policy that they didn't even realize that they took out.
Yeah.
So,
And people,
sorry, Chris, give me 1 second.
yeah, people need to remember that our actions directly affect the results in our industry. Like what you do and the decisions that you make, good, bad, or indifferent, directly affect the long-term actions of this industry. Why do you think for a second that a lot of carriers, most carriers, nearly all of them, don't pay advances on submission anymore? Bad agent's fault, not Adam's fault, not my fault. The bad crop of crap that had shoveled its way through this industry is why most stuff is paid on issue now. Why do you think carriers are getting so strict about processes for face-to-face and telesales? Because y'all messed it up. Not us, y'all. I mean, if you're watching this on a Friday, you probably care about your business, but other people messed it up. Like bad decisions agents make reflect poorly on everybody else once they failed out of the business. Like these companies are not, they're 100-year-old institutions that are required to have reserves, capital, surplus, operating expenses, shareholders. Like some of these carriers, people work there their entire lives. And that means a lot to them and their community and their legacy. Adam, a lot of the fraternal companies we have century-old reputations and heritages to look up to and to protect. And bad actions by bad actors, what happens, it hurts us. So don't be people making those kind of decisions, because you might be gone and quit, but you're leaving your crap behind. And that does affect the long-term of the industry.
Well, yeah, bottom line, I mean, you just got to do what's right. You got to look out for your people. Whether you're running in an insurance company, whether you're running an agency, whether you're just working with clients, always just look out for your people, do the right thing, and put others' interests ahead of your own. Do what's right for them. And I mean, you'll be repaid time and time again, but you're not going to be in the business very long if you're screwing all your people over, whether that's companies taking away renewals from their agents, whether that's agencies, just not doing right to their people, whatever, or even the agent that is not doing right to their client. You do what's right for your people. In the end, I mean, that's how you're going to build a good, productive, long-term, substantial business.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so then after that, Chris, so like I said, I door knocked the lady I door knocked that I couldn't write any final expense on yet. I think I still may. I asked her about her Medicare, and she said, yeah, I just renewed this plan, but I don't know if the guy I talked to knew what he was talking about, because I have neighbors of mine that told me that they get like this monthly allowance where they get money for food and groceries and stuff. And there's not many plans anymore that have that. But what I've found is that for those that have other health issues, like that are diabetic or maybe have heart issues, there's more plans like that where they still have that monthly allowance. And that's what it was. The lady, she was diabetic. Her husband was diabetic. I was able to put her into a plan that would pay each of them $70. Well, of course, separate policies. Each of them, they'll be getting $70 a month a piece to help with like food, groceries. I think you can even pay your utility bills with that money. So yeah, she was happy. I tried to tell her, well, look, I'm giving you $140 a month now. Let's get this final expense done. But she wouldn't, she wouldn't go with it. So, but in the future, I think I still may get somewhere with her. I think I'm still going to go out today. I mean, you sent me all those leads yesterday. I figured, I even asked my wife, we don't have anything going on until later tonight. So usually I'm just home kind of doing agency stuff on Fridays, but I mean, I said I was going to write 10,000 this week. I haven't hit that, and I don't like to BS people. So, I mean, I'm going to do what I can to get out there and write some more business today.
You don't like to BS people?
I don't.
you don't like to lead Facebook groups and proclaim your expertise in the industry while owing thousands? You wouldn't say,
No.
would you? That's incredible.
Man, that's embarrassing.
It is, and it's a shame. And I wanted to make it publicly clear. I don't get any thrill out of doing things like that. But that's to protect other people in this industry, because it's hard to tell who knows what the hell they're talking about anymore. And because you're not meeting them, you're not going to their office, you're not going to conventions, you're not shaking hands and watching what they drove in or how they flew or where they dressed, like the tangible things that tell you, I think that guy's got this figured out. When that doesn't exist, and it's
people that don't work with people that are still trying to fake it until they make it.
And don't contract agents
already made
if you haven't figured it out. Like, here's the thing, Adam, and you would know this because you've been in corporate leadership, you've been in field leadership, you've led a family. Like, if you don't have your stuff together, you're in no position to be training or leading or mentoring or overriding anybody. I remember an agent that worked with us long before you did. And he's like, man, I have this guy that's going to come work with me. I'm like, you are dealing with so many own personal problems right now. You have no business attempting to support, train, or mentor anybody but your own damn self. And that's okay. Like, we're not always in positions in our life where we can be leading and training other people, but don't fake it. Like, all you're going to do is hurt somebody else's chances to succeed in a business with unlimited opportunity. People should have a fair shake at winning that chance and not have it wasted by poor leadership out there from people that aren't even making it. So that's just my thoughts on that topic. I'd love to dissect with your slides to wrap up today's conversation.
Yeah, let's hop on there real quick, and let's see. So I also wanted to mention, Chris, we have our appointment setting team that this is something that's available to all agents that are in the industry. Feel free to reach out to us about this. And, we could get you lined up with one of our appointment setters. There's different packages out there available, but it's something that's definitely helped me. The last couple years I've been working with the different appointment setters, and I know, you've taken a lot of time, Chris, to train and develop and work with the call center. And for those of you that did not watch our Dynamic Friday last Friday, go back and check out the podcast where we did interview one of the girls from the appointment setting team. Kind of talks about how she works with the people in the call center and how she trains them. And, and again, I mean, these people were trained by Chris, who has a lot of success in the business. So he's taught these people what to say, what not to say. And it definitely works. It's a very good investment. It's definitely worth the money each week. Their job is just to put you in front of people. There's no guarantee that you're going to make a sale, but what they do is that they get you in front of the people faster. Where, like I mentioned yesterday, I was just door knocking leads yesterday afternoon. I mean, I would much rather have appointments already set for me on those leads. But that's, like I said, if anything, it gets you in front of the people faster. And then it's your job to do the rest. It's your job once you're there. It's not the appointment setter's job to make a sale for you. It's their job to get you there. And
and it was interesting
than if you were just door knocking it.
Yeah, they take personal pride in what they do. Like, if they don't set a full calendar for you, they'll come in early on their own accord and start setting same days, because I've trained them to do it. Like, they want to do it, and they want to put you in front of people because they understand that they're the first link in the process and that their job matters and they're making an impact. And Adam, one of the things I get the biggest kick out of is when I'm sitting in front of somebody off of a lead on an appointment, and they say to me, man, I never answer my phone. You see my phone, it's been ringing the whole time. I never pick up for anybody. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, you picked up for Gina, you picked up for Annie, you picked up for me, and I'm sitting right here. I'm not saying that out loud, but I'm thinking, I know they're working hard because I know what this person is saying, and I know the reality of me sitting in their house right now presenting them a product that's going to change their life.
They usually don't answer the phone to anybody, but when somebody calls them 3,000 times, they finally decide to pick up. And that's what our appointment setters do. I mean, they will call the hell out of these leads until the person picks up their phone.
And you know what's crazy? We saw a $10 a lead spike in lead costs because our leads are TCPA compliant, because our appointment setters text our leads. They will send a freaking picture of the lead and say, Adam, you filled this out. I'm trying to call you. Or they'll walk through the process via text to set appointments because it works nowadays. And our lead costs have gone up because they have to be TCPA compliant, because they're texted. But all of this stuff that's being done just makes people more money. It's like that blue ocean philosophy you talked about with me, offering something that who else is really doing that?
No, you're right. And like I said, I mean, we offer this even to people that are not part of our group, our organization. People are always looking at sort of things like, what am I going to get out of it? We're just doing this to help people. Honestly, if anything, it just covers some of our costs of operation.
Yeah, barely covers our costs. I mean, we're using Kixie Dialer that costs hundreds of dollars a month so that the girls can power dial through inventory. They're using dial pad on other parts. Like so much tech that goes into the background of them doing what they're doing. There's almost no profit to be made in this program, but the profit is to be made in the agents being more time efficient, personally more profitable, less stressed out, and more fulfilled. Like one of the greatest feelings in the world is showing up at 10 a.m. for the appointment and the person's expecting you. And it just leads into a far more comfortable conversation when you're given those opportunities.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So, yeah, let's move on here. Again, yeah, I titled this Securing Your Future. Again, we're just kind of thinking a lot about, kind of like what happened with you this week, Chris, with the agent and that. And I figured, she said you never taught her anything. So I figured, maybe if she's on, we could teach her how to, master her business growth and prevent chargebacks and build those renewals.
Oops. Did you put a shirt on me? Is that that I don't own that shirt.
I did. Yeah, I AI'd a different shirt on you.
If you're watching right now and you like my AI shirt, comment below if Adam should pick out more clothes for pictures.
I figured I don't have that many pictures of Chris. I got to put something else on him instead of just the same sport coat. So I figured I'd AI it and see what happened. This was the best option. There were some that were pretty crazy. So, but anyways, securing your future. Just a few little tips before we get into like talking about persistency. We talk about renewals. I recommend be sure to read your contracts with the different carriers that are out there. Every carrier, I mean, they're all, they should all be the same, but they're all a little bit different. And you got to read some of the fine lines. And I think sometimes that's what happens is people just assume that every company is the same. And regardless, you're just vested the first day. And regardless, that money's always going to be yours and you're always going to have renewals. So I think it's important when you do your contracting with the different carriers, make sure to read your contracts and make sure that you're not missing anything.
No, Adam, I talked to I put myself in a recruiting funnel this week just so I could see what it was like from the other side. Like if you're an agent and you haven't put yourself in a sales situation and witnessed it as a consumer, you're missing the boat. I apologize to whoever I paid for my lead, but I put myself in the other side of the conversation, and that person was offering a product, a contract or an opportunity that wasn't vested for 2 years. Now, if that's a decision that you make to run your business, that's your decision to make, but you should read your contract to know that this is a non-vested opportunity so that you're not surprised in a year when you leave and you get nothing. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think there's companies, and again, you still got to read the contracts. I've seen agencies out there that say we vest our agents from the very first day, but then there's still a 2-year vesting period in the schedule. So you just got, you got to be careful. You got to read your contracts and make sure. But yeah, and heck, I mean, if you're going all in with a company and you look at that as your future, I wouldn't worry about a 2-year vesting if you plan on being there. But at least if you know going into that's how it is. I mean, I've worked for organizations that had 2-year vesting. I didn't mind it because it maybe pushed those agents to stick around. Like they might have given up, but then they're like, man, I don't want to give up because I don't want to lose those renewals.
Yeah.
And they would stick around. And I mean, heck, I still get renewals from, carrier I was with 11 and a half years. Same thing. I mean, I probably wasn't vested for the first couple of years. I was only 20 or 21 when I started. I didn't even really ever think about any of that stuff back then. I mean, I kind of went into this business knowing this was going to be my career, and I never thought about this. I never thought about this not working out or having to do something else. So I
Mhm.
never really worried about the whole vesting window in that. But
Just got to know it's there.
with that said, let's say you're the carrier, your main carrier of focus. If they're constantly changing things, if they're constantly updating agent agreements and wanting you to like re-sign new agent agreements every year, or they don't let you get into their website unless you like approve new agent agreements, I would say, beware. I almost feel like maybe those are carriers that just haven't quite figured it out yet. But they're changing things, and even these different agent agreements that you're signing on. I mean, there's a reason that they're sending you a new agent agreement, and there's got to be something in there that they're changing, or they would not be sending it to you to sign. So uh, definitely don't just even if it even if you're not allowed to get into a carrier's website until you agree to the new agreement. Read it. Maybe you're not going to want to go back into that website after you read the agent agreement. But like I said, there's companies that do that where I mean, I've seen it where, they don't allow you into the website until you agree to their new rules. Well, read over those rules. You don't want to agree to something that could end up costing you down the road.
Adam, real quick, an average cost to hire a lawyer to do base level work without a retainer, like the hourly rate for lawyers, probably 350 to 400, unless you're talking New York City, Philadelphia, and such. I would much rather spend 350 or $400 for an hour of labor with a lawyer to have them read a contract and give me their opinion of it, instead of risking tens of thousands of dollars if you're not sure about something, or you're making a commitment with a vesting. Or don't be afraid to spend a little bit with somebody like that, I think, if you have a concern that the contract might not be in your favor.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if you see, all like I said, agent agreements, like how often does a company or carrier have to change things? Um, to me, it's just a red flag, and that's where you need to beware if you're experiencing that sort of things. I would also recommend if you're a new agent, you hear so much about the high comp, and you just got to get the highest comp out there. I would say don't just focus on high first year comp. I would say a lower first year comp with higher renewals will make you more money long term. So, I mean, I remember I had a carrier contract. I mean, the first year was still pretty decent. I mean, I think it was like a 120, and it paid like a 13% renewal. And
Mhm.
that was an awesome contract that I never really wanted to give up because, I mean, where else do you get those high renewals? They're hard to come by. And people will say what they want about final expense business and the business not staying on the books and that, but I mean, enough of it's going to stay out in the books that you can build a pretty good renewal base, especially if you have a decent renewal percentage. But if you are sacrificing your high renewal percentages to make that first year high upfront money, uh, well, in the long run, like I said, you would make a lot more by maybe lowering that first year comp to get the higher renewals in the future. So, don't just and same thing when you're reading over your contracts and you're looking at the numbers, take a look at that. Look at the first year, look at the renewals. I mean, if you're getting a 1% renewal, years 1 through 5, and then
No,
nothing after that, I mean, who cares
it's
what the first year
insulting.
comp is?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
insulting. Like Nick Frumpkin, we did a video a few weeks ago. It's like if it was really that low or it wasn't there at all, then there would be no business motivation to service the policy. Like there's no
exactly.
reason to do it at that point. And when a carrier needs that business to be profitable, but you're not paying us to do our job anymore, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I agree. A balance of your core product being comfortable in first year and solid in renewals does make a big difference.
But yeah, definitely beware. There's contracts out there that even some of them, it's just right on the commission schedule that they'll have agents sign. That if you don't read the fine print, there's one where if your lifetime persistency falls below 65%, they take your renewals away. I mean, what kind of person has the ability to keep over 65% of their final expense business on the books long term?
Yeah, Ray
I
Berrigan
almost
said,
feel like they're setting people up to take the
yeah,
renewals away. It's impossible to have a lifetime renewal. I'm sorry, lifetime persistency over 65% in final expense, in my opinion.
yeah. Ray Berrigan said when he interviewed Adam Hale recently, or they interviewed each other or whatever, that like 40 and 50% stick rate into years 5, 7, 10, and such is the reality in many cases. And they have a customer service department that services their business, which is awesome for those that choose to work there. But like, if that's the long-term renewal, which I probably would agree with, then if 65 is where they cut it off and 50 is where it probably lands, they're purposely trying to cut it off. It's almost immoral.
I think it should be illegal. And that's where I don't know. I feel like, again, I wish that it maybe was a little bit more standardized across the board with carriers when it comes to paying out the renewals and that, because I think most agents just kind of feel like going in, that's just, you're always going to have renewals because that's just how it is. Like I said, I mean, heck, the one carrier, 11 and a half years, they're still paying renewals out to me. I mean, they've dwindled down quite a bit. But I mean, I got a deposit yesterday from them. So, I'm still getting money from them. And I left there, 8 years ago?
Mhm.
No, 9 years ago. So, left there 9 years ago and I'm still getting paid renewals from them. So
Yeah,
I still have business on the books. It all hasn't fallen off over, over the last 9 years.
we have to be, as agents and agencies and agency owners and real people, place our business with companies that deserve and want our business. I had a conversation with Justin Brock, and he's talking about, leveraging carriers in the Medicare space that want to work and collaborate with agents, not ones that want to work against. I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting there. But that means a lot. Like, if an agency can partner with a carrier and the carrier is dedicated to the growth of everybody involved, that's a good thing. But don't place your business with someone who doesn't give a flying hoot about you.
Yeah. Or, where they don't want you to, they won't provide you with a list of your policyholders.
That's
Like,
suspicious.
you're the one who wrote the business. Like, it's like they're playing prevent defense. They're looking to not lose rather than looking to win. And they're so worried about people going out there and replacing their own business. Chris, do you think if someone is like a professional business flipper, like that, they're going to need to call into a carrier to get a list of their policyholders? Like,
Well, first,
I'm pretty
an
sure if
agent,
you're looking to churn your business, you're going to already, keep all that information.
yeah, you should keep your own information anyway, first off. And if the carrier doesn't have an easy process to keep your information, that's a problem. And if they don't, and you still love them, you should still keep the information. One of my VA records every application I write and puts it in my CRM for me. It's not that hard to do. You use renewal and residual income to pay her salary. But yeah, I mean, like, bad people are going to find a way to do bad things. But what you're doing is you're preventing good people from going back and seeing their clients and writing more business because you won't let them see their own business. Like,
well, Chris, it's like the one agent 40 years ago that screwed them out of $20,000 is the reason why everybody else is punished for it. Is the problem. They focus on that one bad apple rather than focus on doing more to help those that are doing the right thing.
yeah.
That are just looking to do what I've done over the last few weeks and written a lot of business on existing policyholders. Not replaced any. I don't go in and try to replace my own business. All I've done is add coverage.
Yeah.
And I could have added it with carriers that, if they're still paying me renewals, maybe could have put it there, but why do that?
And here's the other thing. When a carrier makes it more transparent what the book of business is, it makes it easier for mid-level agency owners to survey a book of business to protect the carrier from freaking fraud. Like, if it takes me a long time to figure out if she is rewriting her sister through multiple carriers, then I might not be able to discover it. But if I can look in the portal and look in the portal and look in the portal and see that same name over and over and over again, because the carrier is making it transparent, it's easier for us to protect them as well. And if we're not protecting each other, then that's not going to benefit the business either.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, that was one thing I felt like for a long time, I had to play detective when it came to working with a lot of agents. And it's sad to say that that's kind of part of the business, but sometimes you do. Like I say, you look out for your people, but you also have to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that, I used to catch people all the time doing stuff that they weren't supposed to be doing. But I did have access to a lot of stuff that just the regular agent's not going to have. That I wish that, yeah, if you have a downline, I wish that you would have access to more information. I wish maybe more carriers would be willing to share that information with their uplines to be able to protect not only the upline, but the company.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about persistency. Like I said, because this is the biggest part of it, keeping your business on the books. You got to have that mindset that writing an application and earning a commission is just step one. That's it. Your clients are your clients for life. So, and again, I've gone back and written a lot of business on existing policyholders. I don't think they would take out a life insurance policy with anybody but me. But that's because I've made it out to be, I've made myself out to be their guy. I'm their insurance man. They don't call other people when they need a additional policy. And show your clients that you care and that and they'll stick with you. One example, you could put 3 quotes together for somebody. And if they always go for the highest quote, you don't have to just write that piece of business. I've many times gone back and said, are you sure you think you could handle that? You sure you think you could handle that $180 a month premium? Why don't we start you with the $120 a month? I could always come back in 6 months, if you think that, you want to add more then, but, why don't we start you a little bit less? We can always add more later. And my clients appreciate that. That's a way that I'm looking out for them, seeing to it that they will be able to keep up with their payments, that they're not going to lose the premium. I've always said, you got to be able to pay this every month and not just the first month. So I would rather put them in something that I'm comfortable with them paying each month. And I could always go back and write more later. But most guys, they're just trying to write the most expensive thing out there. And then in month 2 or 3, when it falls off, then they're getting hit with a huge chargeback. So look out for your people, like I said, and show your clients that you care. They will stick with you.
Yeah, I think sometimes that agents that aren't taught this stuff, agencies that don't teach this stuff, or the kind of agencies, like I said in the open, that have no long-term vision, that they're just simply, maybe I didn't say it, but I know I typed it out. They're just simply trying to churn their way through another crop of licensed agents, get what they get, recruit their friends, and go on to the next one. If your upline who makes money off of you, to be explicitly clear, isn't talking about what happens after step 1, what happens after step 2, what happens in 5 years, then they just don't care. Or maybe they don't know, or they haven't been in it long enough to know themselves. So having a vision and a long-term legacy mindset in mind makes the renewals and the persistency and the profit more real.
And just some selling tips to help with persistency. Focus on the need. That's like I mentioned earlier. The initial visit, I'm focusing on how much a funeral costs today. And that's kind of really where it's at. And then I'll talk about whether they want to be buried or whether they want to be cremated. And we kind of focus on those sort of dollar amounts. I know I can always go back and write more later, but I want to focus on the need and I want to focus on affordability. I want to make sure they have enough coverage for what they need it for, but I also need to make sure that they can handle it each month. So again, you want to make sure that they can pay this every month and not just the first month. So keep it affordable for the client. You can always go back and write more business later. And sell on value, not face amounts and rates. There's many different ways to do that. I've talked a lot about like the different funeral concierge services that are available. The American Amicable with the Everest, the Transamerica Express product also now has the Everest. SBLI has the Sequoia, which is pretty similar to the Everest. There's a whole bunch of them out there. But not only that, a lot of these different carriers, they even have like different pre-arrangement guides that you can get from them. I order one of my supplies with American Amicable. They send them to me all the time, and I hand them out in every house. Every house that I write a sale, I'm I'm giving them the pre-arrangement guide, and I'm putting my name and my phone number in, and I'm letting them know. I tell them, look, you fill the rest of this out, give it to your loved ones, and you tell them that when the time comes, the first person they need to call is me. Have them call me even before the funeral home. I don't want the funeral home telling them something that's not true about your policy. And I want to make sure that the money goes as far as it can. If your family calls the funeral home first, well, the funeral home's going to ask about the policy. They're going to tell them to bring it in. And honestly, they just want to see how much money they're working with. So,
Yeah.
but even just these little things of me, I guess, helping and letting them know I'm going to be there for their family when that time comes is a way of also selling value outside of just these different funeral concierge services and things like that that are available. But
You know what's wild, Adam?
yeah, sure. What's up, Chris?
Sorry to interrupt. The fact that we talked about 7 different downstream sales that are going to be made by writing one quality piece of business, that when you service the business at the end of the story, at the death claim, there's additional business that comes from that. Like, that isn't a marketable strategy, and I don't mean it in an immoral sense, but there's been plenty of pieces of business that I wrote because I answered a death claim call. I walked them through the process. I at least gave them good, solid advice as to what to do. And then they're like, well, I need insurance for me, my friend, my uncle, my brother, whatever, because someone's helping them. And in that life moment, maybe that's really number 7, the life event moment. Now they know they need insurance.
Well, again, too, Chris, if you're doing the right thing and you're writing business the way that you're supposed to, you don't have to worry a lot about claims getting denied. You don't have to worry about going back to that family and them wanting to hit you in the face or something. I mean, you're going to do the right thing, and they're going to be grateful that you were able to help them and get that money to help them in their time of need. So, and yeah, with that is going to lead to referrals and more business. So, yeah, I tell my clients all the time. I mean, that's part of my presentation. Make sure your family calls me when that time comes. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Either way, you can go back and see that family. You will be notified one way or another of a death claim. Look up the information, figure out who the beneficiary is. Go back and visit with them. Express your condolences and make sure that everything was done that needed to be done to get that claim paid. That's what it's, that's what it's for. This is for those that are left behind. It's not for the person that is taking out the policy. It's for their loved ones.
Yeah.
And
they need to update their beneficiary. Like, there's service work that needs to be done at a death claim. If it was a husband and a wife or a brother and a sister or situations like that, you got more work that you need to do by showing up.
Most definitely. So yeah, don't just focus on face amounts and rates. Like, that's again, persistency issues. If all you're selling is the absolute cheapest thing out there, what happens when the next cheap product comes out and the next agent goes in there and writes it? If you're selling that value yourself, the planning guides, the concierge services that are available, the chances of replacement, like I said earlier, I tell my clients, my clients don't cancel these policies. There's nothing else like it out there. And that alone, I think, helps with persistency. You let them know, like, why would I cancel this? No one else is canceling it. This is something different. This is unique. I tell them this is like the Rolls Royce of final expense plans.
Hey, it's power in how we phrase things. And there's power in value, and there's power in knowing that value is what keeps business on the books, not the cheapest rates. There's going to be 2 new products that come out in the next 60 days. Bet you some of them are going to have pretty cheap rates. It's the value in what you sold that keeps those clients from talking to other agents.
Yeah, and then set draft dates properly. I mean, it's so easy, and so many agents it's like they just I don't know. I can't think of the right phrase. They put their tail between their legs and they just do whatever the client tells them to do. And they ask them, this is on a draft date, or I'm sorry, this is on a bank draft. What's a good date? And the person tells them the 5th of the month, and they just set it for the 5th. Don't do that.
No.
Ask more questions. Are you on Social Security? When do you receive your deposit? Oh, you get paid on the 3rd. Okay, well, we have to set this for the 3rd. You get paid on the 1st. We have to set this for the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
If they tell you that they get paid in the middle of the month, oh, like when exactly? I don't know, like right around the middle of the month. Like, do you get paid on the 2nd Wednesday? Yeah. I think that's when I get paid. Well, then you set it for the 2nd Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you can even download, you can Google it, Social Security payday chart. You can look and you can see just based off of their birthday, when they're going to receive their Social Security. So make sure to set the draft dates to coincide with when they receive their Social Security, and you'll have very good persistency.
It's
Don't
not an
give the
option.
client an option. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not an option. Like I remember diving deep into an agent that was building up debt a few years ago because she was working with one place. She was working with us. I was trying to get her over here. It was a bad idea from the very beginning. And I kept seeing these American Amicable NSF reports because American Amicable sends us a clear explanation of what's going on with your business. Thank you. And you don't log into the site and you can see the business. Thank you. But I get an email and I'm like, that's strange. I keep seeing her name in lapses. Let's look it up. Guess what the draft date was half the time? The 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 2nd. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Well, and it was just some childish excuse about why. Well, they also had a job or they also, no. The draft date is the date they received their Social Security. Grow a set and tell the client that, and they'll respect that. They trusted you to get this far in the process. Do you think they're going to buck the process and kick you out of the house because you controlled this part, the very end of the process? Like, I don't walk into the airport and say, TSA, I am not going through that machine. I don't believe in this machine. No, you go through the process because they're in charge of the place that you're in. You're in charge of this process.
Most definitely. I can't stand when people are not on Social Security. Like, I can't stand when I have an appointment with someone that's still working, where, they get paid every 2 weeks. Like, it's scary business to write. You would think it would be the opposite. Like, a lot of people will tell you, oh, no, you want to deal with people that have a full-time job. No, I mean, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They're just barely getting by. And, but when people are on Social Security, well, they get that deposit once a month on a specific date. And if you're setting it to coincide with that, you're taking the money for this before they can even touch it. So that's the safest business out there, in my opinion, is people that are on some form of Social Security that have a specific draft date or day, which is pretty much anybody who's on Social Security. So, and again, and don't give your client a reminder that they can always cancel. I mean, why would someone do that? Again, I think it's like when you talked about earlier, Chris, the one that I couldn't get anywhere with, and you're like, oh, so you didn't push that much further. You didn't push any harder to try to write it. This is a way a lot of agents will do that. They'll remind the person, well, let's just get you started. If you decide you don't want it, once you get
let's
the policy,
just see if you qualify.
Yeah, we'll just see if you can qualify. You can always cancel it. Like, yeah, no, why would you want to do that?
You can make adjustments later. You can always call me back and let me know. Like,
if you're doing this, basically what you're doing is you're just applying for a loan that you have to pay back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you don't want. You don't want to look at an advance commission as a loan. I mean, that's what it is. It is being paid back, but you want the client to be paying it back through their monthly payments and not you from a chargeback.
Correct.
So, but that's what's going to happen if you're using the 30-day look back close. You can always cancel it if you decide you don't want it. That's what they're going to remember when they get their policy. Oh yeah, that guy told me if I don't want this, I can cancel it. Well, I better give them a call before they take the money out.
Yeah. And so many of these people are non-committal anyway. Like, that's one of their human traits, is not to make commitments and decisions. And if you're encouraging psychologically the fact that they don't have to make a decision or make a commitment, what are they going to do? They're going to keep being themselves. But life insurance is a lifetime commitment. Like, imagine if I, walked down the aisle at my wedding and I said, I do, but you can think about it the next 30 days. Like, Adam, how would that have looked? You were there.
That would have been weird. If you would have used the 30-day close on your wife at your wedding, that would have been, yeah. If you decide within the next 30 days you change your mind, well, okay.
You can I mean, it doesn't work. But people don't even think of it outside of that sale. They need to, if they think about it in other ways and realize how dumb and ridiculous it sounds, they would stop doing it, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. But again, I think that a lot of times it's the whole desperation mode, just doing
Mhm.
whatever you can to make a sale. You just got to work harder. I mean, there's ways. I mean, you move on to the next. You find another person to go see. Don't, like I said, you don't want to take out a loan that you have to pay back through from chargeback, getting hit with a chargeback. It's no fun.
No.
Uh, Again, don't be afraid to walk away from bad business. That would be, to me, that would be an example of bad business. I think also, I walked away from one a few months back where it was like 5 or 6 people in the house, and the daughter hands me like this prepaid debit card that
Mm-mm.
she has to manually load each month. And I was
Mm-mm.
like, and unfortunately, her dad that was there had to leave for work. So I said, all right, well, if you don't have enough time to finish it right now, I'll just come back tomorrow. And I just didn't go back because I didn't want to deal with that. I knew that was just a chargeback waiting to happen. And
Yeah.
if you talk about persistency issues, what do you think happens when you write 6 applications in one home and they all fall off? You're getting knocked with 6 cancellations with that carrier. That
Mm-hmm.
definitely doesn't look good towards your metrics.
No,
So
no,
yeah, just
no.
things to think about.
You can just say to them, I apologize, Adam. We don't accept that method of payment. And you know what happens once in a while? Surprise, they actually had a bank account. Like, this is what they used
Yeah.
because they know they're not responsible. So they use this to pay some of their bills. But before you know it, they actually did want the insurance, but they were afraid to use their bank account. But all of a sudden, oh, that's okay. I have Wells Fargo. Can we use that instead?
Oh yeah. Well,
Oh,
if I walked in and we were like, sitting at the dining room table and everything was nice and clean, and maybe it would have been a little bit different, but
yeah, it wasn't there.
that was definitely not the situation that I walked into.
No.
Um, yeah, they had to put their dog away that was going to rip my face off, I think, before I even got in the house. So, just a little quick commercial here for those of you that don't know. You need to be getting on our podcast. A lot of pretty much all the content that we put out there is available through audio and video on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple, a lot of different platforms out there. So check it out. I think I just loaded like our 139th or 140th episode, Chris. Over it's been just a little over a year. So, I mean, I'd say that's pretty good. At least the audio, we've been putting out there for about a year now. A lot of good content out there, a lot of stuff that's going to help agents. And all you got to do is get on there. And when you're out working during the day, when you're out running leads, it gives you something to listen to that's going to kind of keep you in the right mindset, keep you motivated, and help you. Tips from people that, I mean, between the two of us, over 30 years of experience in the business. So, and not just experience, but success in the business. People that know how to do it the right way.
I thought we didn't help anybody. I thought I didn't offer any help.
I would say we help a lot of people, even people that aren't even with us. Anybody can listen to this podcast. You don't got to be part of our agency. I mean, everybody can listen to this stuff. This is just stuff that's out there for anybody. It could help millions of people if people really wanted to, hop on it. So
Yeah, our daily trainings on Fridays are probably some of our best training over the course of the week. Mondays, my favorite call to write. Fridays, some of the best content you pour into. Fridays are available for the whole world to see. So nobody has the right to say that nobody helped them.
yeah, most definitely not. So then after the sale, I recommend, and again, we're just talking about keeping up with your business. And like you said, you need to be keeping records of your clients. So save copies of all your applications, whether that's through like Google Drive or iCloud or Dropbox. I recommend the cloud storage because it makes it a heck of a lot easier to locate that information when you need it. Like I have a client's folder that is saved on my iCloud. And that way, if I have a client that calls me, or even when I'm visiting with these existing policyholders, all I have to do is search for their name, and I'm going to find their applications that they've done with me, and I can look them up. It makes it easier even to write the business in the home. I don't have to re-ask them for their social security number or their birthday. I already have all that information. If anything, I can verify the beneficiaries and see if those are still the people that they want on their additional coverage. But yeah, definitely, save copies of the applications. And again, save it in the cloud storage. I recommend create the file name as I do their last name, comma, their first name. And then I might put like the name of the carrier after their name, but I usually have separate folders for each carrier as well, to kind of keep that organized. But yeah, definitely be keeping record of all that stuff. It makes it a heck of a lot easier to go back to. Also, I would recommend to create a spreadsheet with pretty much all the important parts that are on the application: their name, their address, their phone number, their birthday, their beneficiaries, the face amount, the amount of coverage, face amount, the monthly premium, just all that stuff. And again, makes it a heck of a lot easier when you're going back to verify the information and to write additional coverage. You'd kind of look stupid if you went in the house and you'd have to call into the company to find out exactly what they have. You should know, you're their agent. And then you can create like a lead spreadsheet out of that. And you can do annual reviews, as I've been doing the last few weeks. And this is like what I put together. I'm sure there's a way you can probably go on Google or YouTube and figure out how to do this, but I just do like a mail merge document. Like there's probably maybe even easier ways to do it. I don't know. I just do it. It's how I've been doing it forever, through like Microsoft Word, where I'll create a mail merge document and I'll create all the different fields. And then you can like link the spreadsheet to this, and it will create all the different lead pieces for you. Again, there's probably easier ways to do it these days with, even the different CRMs. Maybe there's just different ways for it to spit out like this. But again, like I said, I save this in my good notes, or like my notability. And same thing, I can search in there for the name, and all that information is just going to pop up. So when I go to the door, I already have all that information right then and there. I might just have a few minutes to kill.
Oops.
And
sorry.
Oh, no, you're okay. I might just have a few minutes to kill in between an appointment. Maybe I don't have a lot of time to do a whole presentation with somebody, but I could at least search for even like the zip code and find, okay, well, Wendy Johnson, she's in the area that I'm working right now. She took out that policy a few years back. Maybe I'll just go see if she's home, and I'll go talk to her real quick. And you just never know what you're going to run into. You may be able to write additional coverage on Wendy. You might be able to get some referrals. You might even be able to talk about Medicare.
I can't tell you how many times I walked up to the door and they said, I was just thinking about getting extra insurance. I thought to myself, I was just thinking of selling you additional insurance. What's the chance of that?
And so this is the script that I use at the door. I mean, pretty basic. Yeah. Hey, Mrs. Jones, remember me? Adam, with Unity Life Group. I was over about a year ago, helped you with your final expense plan with American Amicable. I was in the area, just wanted to stop by to do a quick policy review, just to make sure everything is still set up the way that you'd like. Do you have 5 minutes to go over it real quick? That's it. They're going to let you in. They let you in before. If they don't have time, maybe they'll set up another time, but usually they're going to let you in. Thanks so much for being a good client. I'm just so glad I was able to help you with this. This is important. At least your family will be taken care of when that time comes. I have down here that you have Michael down as your beneficiary. And if something happens to you and Michael at the same time, you got Mary down and she'll be taking care of it. Is that still how you want it set up? Either yes or no. Most of the time it's going to be a yes. If it's a no, well, then you can get like a change of beneficiary form to fill out. And then from there, I always say, I see you have $15,000 in coverage and you're paying $75 a month. And then that comes out on the 21st of each month, or on the third Wednesday. Now you're 65 years old right now, Mrs. Jones. Now you'll probably live to be at least 85 or 90, don't you think? And they always say, oh, yeah, I'm going to live forever. I'll live to be at least 85 years old. And I'm just reeling it in because I'm just setting them up for what's to come. I pull out what I put together here. And if you guys want a copy of this, let me know and I can email one to you. I pull out the funeral cost inflation chart that I put together. And on the chart here, basically I broke it down. I broke down inflation rates starting in 2021 and just kind of going on from there. And I based it off of the average inflation over the prior 50 years, which was 4.02%. So I based that on the left, and then I put 6% inflation next to it because we just don't know where inflation is going to be. When I originally put the chart together, I did 8% inflation because that's actually where the inflation was at the time. It was like disgusting to see if we remained at 8% inflation, what funeral prices would cost even in like 10 years. So I didn't want to scare people either. So
holy crap!
So I dropped it to
Bigger
6%.
funeral.
Yeah, I dropped down to 6%. And I just basically explained this. This chart shows what the current cost of the funeral is. And it shows how they're projected to go up over time. I know you have the 15,000 in coverage right now, but like you said, you're 65 now, you're going to live to be at least 85 or 90 years old. And then I'll point at the year. Well, let's see, in 20 years, in 2045, when you're 85 years old, a funeral is going to cost at least $27,800. So it's great that you got the 15,000. That's enough for right now. What happens when you live another 20 years, like you just told me you're going to?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sells itself. Then they start to think about it. Yeah, you're right. I do need to add to it. And I mean, that's how I do it all the time on these policy reviews. And it sells itself. So just a little tip there, like I said. But again, it's just a matter of staying in front of your clients. And that's what's going to lead to more business and good quality business. I mean, these policies I wrote yesterday, this husband and wife, like that's 83 and 82 years old, that's had policy with me for 7 years. Like, this is good business. I know that any business I write, their business is not going to affect my persistency unless they die soon. That's it.
Which they might.
I mean, yeah, it's possible. But they're going to keep up with their payments. They're going to keep up with their payments. Policyholders, that's the best business that you can write because they've kept up with their business already. You can feel pretty good knowing that future business isn't going to fall off either. So I know we are, we've gone pretty good time today, Chris.
We've gone deep.
Yeah. Anyways, for those of you that are on today watching, if you're not part of what we're doing, check us out. Go to unitylifegroup.com. That's the name of my agency. We help people with in-home sales, also telesales. We have several different ways to help agents when it comes to leads and generating leads and just having a steady flow of people to see on a regular basis. Weekly trainings. You're on one right now if you're watching, or if you're listening later. This is something we do every week, as well as ongoing support. Great opportunities to build a team, multiple carriers, and you're not tied in with one carrier. We do work with several. You don't need a ton, just enough to do what you need to do. I mean, I could probably count on one hand the number of carriers that I've written business with this year. You don't need a ton, but we have them for those that need them. If you're with a carrier that won't, or if you're with an IMO that won't release you, and you need other contracts, well, we can help you. We can, and from there, as time goes on, we can maybe move those other contracts over as well.
Yeah.
We have high level contracts too. Like I said, high level is not the most important thing. Look at the renewal structure on those comps as well.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Yeah,
Appreciate you guys today. Like, comment, subscribe, engage with the content, share it out with other people. There's probably $100,000 of beneficial information that was just shared for free over the last hour and 39 minutes. So share it with somebody else that could make money by watching what we just shared with you today.
Yep. Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys have a great weekend. And again, like, subscribe, follow, get on there and tell the world about it. And like I said, if you're interested in working with us, we'd be happy to work with you as well. So have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Take care.